Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news, and update roundup. We just got news coming about 5 minutes ago that Manchester United have completed the signing of the very, very highly rated defender, Harley Emsden-James. Who is this guy? What is the news? Southampton sources now confirming what Sully had reported, advanced interest earlier on. We're going to talk about our new centre-back signing. And look, people are saying a young centre-back, whatever. Look at Aiden Heaven. Look how good Aiden Heaven's been. I said we need another centre-back for depth, but we need to get another Aiden Heaven centre-back. I said there's no point spending 30, 40 million on a centre-back because we need a goalkeeper, we need a wing-back, we need a midfielder, we need a striker, we need Cunha, we need Mbeumo, we need a striker, we need a centre-mid, we need a goalkeeper. They're the 5 most important positions. We also need a wing-back. So centre-back, we're looking at Aiden Heaven type gems. And look, Jason Wilcox done a really good job, familiar with the guy from his time at Southampton. We're going to talk about this done deal. I'm going to talk about the player and everything you need to know. What's his role? What's his plan? Diego Leon is also set to come into Manchester United very, very soon as well. We've got news on Garnacho, the price, the fee that United won. Romano's gone on about Gyokeres. But interesting reports coming on that Arsenal back in for Gyokeres, back in for talks. Could be one to watch. I'm not that worried about Gyokeres. I'm not that worried about an Arsenal hijack. I think they're going to go for Sesko. Obviously, there's been a few setbacks with Gyokeres and Sporting and some fallouts and some dramas, and he won't be the fee we want to get him for. We're going to have to talk about that later on. But I think we should start with the positive news. I think we should start with some good news. And I'm going to get into the report that came out earlier today from Sully, because all of you guys are familiar with Sully. You know that he's bang on the money. You know that he's very reliable with his news. Sully will literally say the day before so-and-so is going to start for Man United and make his debut, like Harry Amas or someone, and the next day he's proven right. He gets a lot of good information from inside the club on, what goes on behind the scenes, starting 11s the night before, obviously signings in the youth academy. And Sully obviously said earlier today, and now this has been confirmed by Southampton sources that the deal is done. But Sully said earlier today that Manchester United are in advanced talks to sign Harley Emsden-James from Southampton. If a move were to finalise, United would have to pay $1 million in compensation for the 16-year-old. Jason Wilcox is a key figure to the deal. So that was said earlier today. So I thought, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on this guy. Man United aren't really ones to mess up a £1 million youth signing when they're in advanced talks to get that done. I said I keep an eye on it. Now, a couple of sources from Southampton, and I was talking to somebody and they said that this is a good source of information. It's a Southampton source of information, has now said that the deal is complete and the deal is done. Now, again, I'm not familiar with Southampton sources. I only am familiar with Manchester United sources. But I'm going to dive into that now because it's just come out about 8 minutes ago. So I assume we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for maybe Academy Scoop or maybe someone like Sully to confirm this. But it's just come out about 8 minutes ago from, a well-respected Southampton account that Manchester United have completed the signing of highly rated defender Harley Emsden-James from Southampton for a fee of $1 million. He's now saying the deal is done. He's now saying the deal is complete a couple of hours after Sully saying the deal was very advanced. And we know that Sully is very, very credible and pretty much always correct with his information. It's now just come out that a deal is done for the highly rated defender. And look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I go and watch Southampton's youth academy and all of this. And obviously I know that United need ready-made players, we need ready-made signings. But this is a centre-back for the future. I said Man United need a ready-made striker. Man United need a ready-made attacker. Man United need a ready-made centre-mid. But I said for centre-back, I'm happy for youth players, People are saying Alice obsessed with youth signings, don't care about youth signings. Well, I do. I do care. Look, Mbeumo, Gyokeres, midfielder, goalkeeper, they're the 5 areas we need. But I've been saying for weeks, we need another Aiden Heaven-type gem at centre-back. We should go and look at young centre-backs on the market. I like these kind of signings. It's not Gyokeres, it's not Mbeumo, I get that. But it's good business. I like these signings. I'm happy with these signings, And look, we'll talk about Arsenal, we'll talk about the Gyokeres news. I'm not actually that worried. But look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've watched this guy play week in, week out, and I'm all of a sudden an expert about Southampton academy players. But look, I did a bit of research, got a few notes, asked about, and this is what we know. He's 16 years of age. He's being targeted by United. He costs $1 million. The deal is now reportedly done. United could see him as the next, big prospect, like Aiden Heaven from Arsenal. Look how's that worked. He's very composed on the ball. What Man United are looking at when they're signing centre-backs is ball playing ability. That's why we brought Aiden Heaven in. Someone that could play central centre-back, someone that could play wide centre-back, someone who has the technical and physical qualities to thrive in an Amorim's system. Why Aiden Heaven is so good, and why I also get behind Dorgu, even though I know a lot of people in the fan base aren't convinced by Dorgu, because they've got the technical and physical qualities to perform an Amorim's system. Particularly Aiden Heaven, you can see his ability on the ball carrying, and United are looking for those kind of players. Jason Wilcox, having worked at Southampton, will be familiar with the player. But he's known for good composure on the ball, being able to distribute, mobility and athleticism. What we want in a centre-back is good on the ball, able to distribute, and very mobile and very, athletic. Be able to key for a high line, key for pressing. And we know that Jason Wilcox is prioritising these kind of profiles. And we've seen with Dorg and we've seen with Aiden Heaven. I thought the January business was very good. It's not officially confirmed, but sources are now saying it's a done deal. And also, he's likely right-footed again. I believe it is a right-footed centre-back. And I think we'll be looking at it right-footed because Aiden Heaven's a left-footed one. But I think it's a good bit of business. I think it's a good deal. This could be another Jason Wilcox masterclass. We've got Diego Leon coming in. Aiden Heaven's worked well. Look, it's not someone that's going to walk in the starting 11 and massively improve us. But right now, we're talking about Aiden Heaven arguably being on our best 11 next season. And 6 months ago, when we signed Aiden Heaven, people were like, oh, whatever. And now Aiden Heaven's getting a lot of people's Man United's best starting 11. So a lot of people are like, oh, don't care. But come on. Now, I'm not going to read out the whole thread because it's not my work. But the guy on Twitter called Saint Statistics has done a thread on the player. He obviously is going to be familiar with the player, Southampton youth. And he said this: Harley Emstons-James is another product of Southampton's youth academy that's produced some of the best British players of all time, i.e. Gareth Bale, Alan Shearer. The 16-year-old still doing his GCSEs, is experienced in under-18s football for the first time last season, making 3 appearances. The youngster who became old enough to sign a pro contract in March didn't sign on with the Saints, meaning that big clubs are circling, and United evidently won the race. At the moment, he's out injured with a fractured knee, but a very, very highly rated player. We know about Southampton, their academy, how good it is. Jason Wilcox is there. He will be familiar with the player. He said he's one of the hottest prospects in Europe. He's saying he's the perfect modern centre-back, and he's got the athleticism and the ball-playing abilities that United are looking at. United with Lenny Yoro, ball-playing ability, athleticism. United with Aiden Heaven, ball-carrying ability, athleticism as well. He talks about him and the player as well. He said there's not a lot of data out there, but he's a very, very highly rated player. And this, for me, is a good signing and a good bit of business from Manchester United. We've also got players like Fredrickson, Gukonki in their thing as well. We've got a lot of good young centre-backs, which is great to see. Someone said disappointed in the signing. What? Why are you disappointed in us spending 1 million on a centre-back? We might go and spend 20 million on another centre-back. That's not to say we're not going to sign another centre-back. We signed a very highly rated centre-back for 1 million quid. Like, what's to be disappointed about? When we look at what happened with Aiden Heaven, he might never play for us. He might be crap, Alvaro never played for us, but we got 5 million for him, and we brought him for about 200k, and we're now annoyed that we sold Alvaro for 5 million. I mean, wow, Real Madrid are going to buy him for 40 million, But it's one of those. I'm going to talk about Gyokeres in a second. What are you doing, Ten Hag? So apparently Ten Hag is looking at loads of Liverpool players like Jarrell Kwanzaa. Do not give your money to Liverpool. Give your money to Man United, Ten Hag. Come and buy Højlund. Come and buy Nana. Don't be spending your money on Liverpool players. There's just some links back by Leverkusen going in for Kwanzaa as well. So that's just me ranting. But yeah, look, injured doesn't matter because he's young. If Mbeumo was out with an ACL and we'd signed Mbeumo right now for 60 million, I'd be saying, well, he's not going to be able to play until the end of the season. What's the point? But he's not. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's one thing signing an injured youth player and there's one thing signing an injured player for 60 million. They're two very different things. A lot of people saying they're tired of this youth thing. Look, we're not Chelsea. We're signing Mbeumo. We've signed Cunha. We're going for Gyokeres. We're going for a midfielder, and we're hoping to sign a goalkeeper. I have no issue with us signing a young centre-back. If Man United went out and spent 50 million on a centre-back and said, sorry, we don't have the funds to bring in a striker or a centre-mid, I'd be fuming. If we spent 50 million on centre-back this summer, which meant we couldn't sign a striker or a centre-mid, I'd be fuming. Man United know that striker and centre-mid is more important than centre-back, and we're signing a good young player at centre-back. It's not Chelsea who just buy young player after young player after young player, have a crap goalkeeper, spent 25 million on Sanchez, but won't spend 25 million on Magnan, that's a world-class keeper, and will go and spend, 40, 50 million on another kid. I want ready-made players. I want ready-made signings, but I don't think there's anything to complain about with us signing a young youth player. If we don't sign a striker and we bring in an 18-year-old at striker, we can complain. But centre back is the one position on the pitch where we can bring in youth signings because it's not a priority. It's only a priority for depth. Leach could be back in September now, so he's making a quick return. De Ligt, if we sign a wing back match, Rabi becomes there. Euro Heaven is potentially the new signing. We wanted a centre back. It was a priority. Now with Aiden Heaven, it's like, oh, we'll just look at young players. I want us to look at the young Ajax guy as well. It's a 1 million signing. We might sign another centre back for 20 million if the budget is there, depending on who we sell. So people are complaining in the chat, but I honestly don't get why people are complaining in the chat about this. Oh, like, why are we signing kids? Don't care, Alice. Silly signing. Don't care. It's £1 million. It's £1 million. We need more centre backs. I think this is really good business. I think this is a really good deal. Look what happened with Aiden Heaven. Nobody cared when we signed him, really. And then everybody cared as soon as Leach got injured that we signed him. And look how well Aiden Heaven's worked out. I think this is another great bit of business. I mean, he might never play for us, but you've got a top young centre-back for £1 million. This could be the right fit to Aiden Heaven. And this could save us a lot of money further down the line. And with Amarin, whether you like Amarin or not, and look, I've had a few question marks over Amarin, I'm not going to lie. I've got question marks over him. But one thing I'll say about Amarin is I think if you buy him the right kind of player with the technical and physical profiles, like Aiden Heaven for his system, I think he can make it work. And we've seen that with Aiden Heaven. I'm convinced Aiden Heaven will be starting in most games for us next season. Like, I honestly think Aiden Heaven, Euro, I honestly think we could even get Aiden Heaven central centre-back, Leach left centre-back, and Euro right centre-back with how important ball-playing centre-backs are to Amarin's system. I really could. Man United are not disclosing targets. All this nonsense comes from agents and selling clubs to drum up interest and inflate prices. A lot of the players we're linked to, yes, we're getting used. Look, we're interested in players for sure, and we have a number of targets. But like the only players we're actively working on right now that I know of is Mbeumo and Gyokeres. There was a link to Samu the other day. There was a link to Rafael Leao the other day. We got offered Kudus, but it's Mbeumo, it's Gyokeres. Look, we've got midfielders that we're working on. We don't know who. Edison, Hayden Hackney, maybe. There could be a surprise name. You never know. No, I'm talking about no, not Hato. Dorothy Mukio. But we can't sign him until next summer because he's still only 17, and you have to wait till he's 18 because of Brexit rules. Dorothy Mukio is the sort of, I think, is a central centre back, because he can play DM, is probably the one that we should look at. Hato's been linked to Arsenal and Chelsea today by Fabrizio Romano, interestingly as well. Yeah, £1 million, hardly a budget impact. I can't believe we'll get negativity over this signing, though, honestly. Yeah. They said Tottenham was going to hijack Mbeumo when he wants United. Tottenham are not hijacking Mbeumo. Unless Man United faff and refuse to pay up, they're not hijacking Mbeumo. Because Mbeumo, with a good understanding that Thomas Frank was going to be at Tottenham, said no to Tottenham, and David Ornstein confirmed that. And Mbeumo said no to Tottenham and yes to Manchester United. Just hear that again. And Mbeumo said no to Tottenham and yes to Manchester United. He chose Manchester United over Tottenham with a strong feeling that Thomas Frank could be manager. He chose Man United. If Man United faff, if Man United take their time, if Man United fall around, the window opens for other clubs to come in. But do you remember how we knew for about a month Cunha had chosen Man United? And between knowing that Cunha had chosen Man United and that talks were ongoing and signing Cunha, there was a month. Well, we knew we were getting Cunha, but there was the odd story to suggest we might miss out, or the odd story this or that, but we knew we were getting him. The exact same is happening with Mbeumo. We're trying to agree a fee with Brentford. Let's continue on as well. In regards to the player, young ball-playing centre-back, will be interesting to watch. I do want to talk about the Gyokeres news. I'm actually not worried, but you just never know. I think Gyokeres, if Arsenal was seriously in for Gyokeres, I think he would choose Arsenal over us. I know that we've got Amarin, but I think he would choose Arsenal over us if they're seriously in for Gyokeres. But I think Arsenal focus on Sesko, despite reports. I'm just sharing my screen. So Padella is a good source of information, but he's no Romano or Ornstein. He said that Arsenal are working to leapfrog United and others in the race for Gyokeres. And then we have reports coming out from Portugal, who honestly are, for me, not the most reliable, saying that United-linked Gyokeres agent is currently in a meeting with Arsenal. Now, Portugal have been spinning up Arsenal to Gyokeres for a long time. These Portuguese sources are saying things like terms agreed, this is done, that is done, talking up Arsenal, and none of it's been proven to be true. For me, there's been a lot of noise around Gyokeres. All of a sudden, Arsenal about to make a proposal, but no English sources confirming this. It's Portuguese sources, it's foreign sources stirring up Arsenal to Gyokeres. Look, I'm going to tell you now, there's YouTubers out there that have done about 30 videos called Gyokeres to Arsenal agreed, reading out Portuguese news over the last 2 months on Gyokeres. Is Gyokeres to Arsenal agreed? No. These Portuguese sources, a lot of them are full of crap. Arsenal going for Sesko. If Arsenal, we get confirmation from British sources that are from Arsenal's side, that they're out of the race for Sesko and they're going for Gyokeres, then we can be worried. But this is probably Sporting Guy makes some comments, Gyokeres' team panics, Gyokeres' team try and put out that he's really close to signing for Arsenal to try and get some more suitors coming in and some more bids coming in because they're worried that he won't get the move. I think that Gyokeres' agent is using Arsenal to help speed up Man United or put some pressure on Man United. I don't think there's anything going on with Gyokeres and Arsenal because I think Arsenal will focus on Sesko. I may be wrong. If Sami Mokbel comes out, he's very good at Arsenal news and Arsenal exclusives and says Arsenal talks with Gyokeres, then we have reason to be concerned. If Sami Mokbel comes out, if Flori Whitwell comes out, if David Ornstein comes out, if Fabrizio Romano comes out, and they all put information about that deal, then yes, we'll have to see. Oh, bear with me. My thing's just bleeping. It's mind games. Some idiots saying Arsenal going for both. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think they will go for both because Havertz is still rated highly by Arteta. So what are you going to do with Havertz? Oh, why? Sorry about all these texts. Sorry about the bling blings coming from my thing. Oh my god, my text message is going off right now. It's loud, isn't it? It's loud. I don't know how to make it quieter. Maybe I can. I don't know how to make it quieter there. I should have muted it. My bad. It's loud. That was loud. Look, I'm not worried yet. If we get a good English source from Arsenal's side coming in that we know is credible, then I'd be worried. But I think Portuguese media, they love to stir. They like to stir. And look, they're loving it because I will tell you this now, and this isn't a dig at Arsenal fans, but Arsenal fans are the most likely to read something from a nonsense source and believe it. They are the most likely. I tell you what, this now, Arsenal fans could read something from a tier 5 million source and some of them will get excited about it. There's a lot of nonsense I see about Arsenal from non-journalists saying Arsenal about to sign Rodrigo, and I see loads of Arsenal fans, quote tweeting it like, wow. Whereas with Man United, we've got the Ross Harwards, we've got the ITKs, and everyone tweets it like this guy's a liar. Do you know what I mean? So they know Arsenal is the best club to clickbait. Arsenal fans are the easiest to clickbait. I'll tell you this now. We can get clickbait as Man United fans, of course, but in terms of clickbait, Arsenal are the easiest fans to clickbait. They believe it, they wrap it up, they love it. And we saw it. AFC stuff has like nearly 1 million followers on Twitter. And Fabrizio Romano tweeted that Obi was offered the same wages by Man United and Arsenal, and he joined Manchester United due to playing reasons, not to wages. This Arsenal account, the aggregator account, didn't put out what Romano had said, didn't put out information that Romano had said that Obi was on the same wages at Man United as Arsenal would have offered him, and he chose Man United for playing time, not financial reasons. But this Arsenal source, aggregator account with nearly 1 million followers, then then posts what a Nigerian guy had said on Twitter with about 4,000 followers that Obi was going to earn 30k a week at Man United. Obi's not earning 30k a week at United, but because some guy from Nigeria with 4,000 followers said it on Twitter, all these Arsenal fans were like, Obi's going to United, so we can earn 15 to 30k a week. But they wouldn't believe that Romano said that was not true. So that, it's an example of sometimes fans want to believe news, even if it's come from nonsense. And Portugal know that, and they use Arsenal, and they're saying, "No, Gyokeres is coming to Arsenal." There's about 1 million reports, because I do Arsenal videos on my second channel. There's about 1 million reports from Portuguese sources claiming that this deal was agreed and personal terms agreed. It's not. So unless a good English source comes out and says Gyokeres is in talks with Arsenal, I feel that it's just clickbait nonsense. Someone saying Alice is popular. Sorry about the million texts that came at once. What's going on with Hannibal? He'll be in the Premier League next season. We have a sell-on clause if he does leave Burnley, but yeah. We've got a sell-on clause for Elanga that Newcastle are interested in. We could get 10 million there. Greenwood looks like he's going to stay put at Marseille. How much is Obi on? Apparently Obi's literally on. Let me check this. Chido Obi wages. I want to just see. Some reports suggest he could be on up to 30 grand a week at Manchester United, which he's not on. This source says he's on 2 grand a week. This source says he's on 15 grand a week. This source says he's on about 4 grand a week. 4 grand a week, apparently. But, because that's the better source. It's not the 30k a week that some guy in Nigeria said he was on. Do you know what I mean? Naipan is set to go to Manchester City. Yeah. The Obi thing was embarrassing. I don't even know why saying he left to get game time Sinner's dig at Arsenal. Yeah. Like, I don't get it. Like, most Arsenal fans were like, he's left Arsenal for Man United because before this season, Man United had played a lot more youth than Arteta. Arteta's brought Ranieri and Lewis Skelly through, but this time last year, Arteta hadn't really brought any youth through. You know, he's going to compete with Højlund. Says, he left Man United for minutes. It's not even a dig at Arsenal. He saw the United Academy pathway, thought this might be better for me. Man United had a better rep of playing youth than Arsenal. And for some reason, some people in the media didn't like that and tried to make it all about wages. You know, is Arsenal better than Manchester United right now? And if he was guaranteed minutes, I think he could have stayed at Arsenal. But I think he felt that it would be better for his career. And you're absolutely right. It was just embarrassing, the slander that he got. A lot of people saying this. Gyokeres is Darwin Núñez 2.0. I mean, Núñez just didn't get the stats, though. Like, Núñez, look, honestly, Gyokeres' touch could be better. Gyokeres has 10 times better finishing than Núñez. Yes, he has a dodgy touch like Núñez, but I honestly think he's not I think he's a lot better than Darwin Núñez was. If we look at Darwin Núñez in his last season in Portugal got 34 goals. So he got 34 goals in 41 games, and he got 4 assists. Okay, Victor Gyokeres is on 54 goals. You know, he's on 20 more goals a season than Núñez. Obviously, Gyokeres does take penalties. You know, the season before that, Núñez got 14 goals. So Núñez got 14 goals, and then he had a 34-goal season, and then he went to Liverpool. Whereas Gyokeres has scored 100 goals in the last 2 years, whereas Núñez got about 50 goals in the last 2 years before he joined Liverpool. Of course, Núñez was a lot younger, so it's difficult in that sense. And also, Gyokeres has played under our manager. Like, is there concerns around Gyokeres? Yes, but he got 54 goals this season, and he got 43 goals last season. He got 97 goals in the last 2 years, compared to Núñez, you know. I think whether you like Gyokeres or not, and whether it's a lot of it's penalties, and whether a lot of it's against the bottom sides, and whether there's worries if he can do it against a low block and he needs space, he scores goals, is a clinical finisher, he can create chances for himself, and he's an improvement on what we have. Right now, Osimhen is better than Gyokeres. Osimhen is the better fit than Gyokeres. Osimhen is perfect. He's who I go for, but I don't know if we're going for him. I think the media saying that we're going for him, it's questionable. It's questionable. I'd like Osimhen, yeah, but I don't think Gyokeres is bad. I don't want to spend more than 55 million on Gyokeres, especially with his age. If United went out there and spent 80 million on Gyokeres, I'd have concerns. If United can get Gyokeres for 50 to 55 million, I'm happy with it. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't want us to be spending 80 million on him. I don't think anyone will. I think Sporting trying to demand a ridiculous amount for Gyokeres when no one seems to be going for him other than Man United means that they're going to have to lower the fee because no one's really going for it. Gyokeres is a great finisher, is a great shot on him. There's strengths about him. And look, you've seen Rasmus Højlund playing this season. You can't turn, even if Gyokeres isn't the ideal signing, even if Gyokeres isn't the perfect signing, you've seen Rasmus Højlund play all season. Are you really going to tell me you don't want Gyokeres? Osimhen is about the same. It's about the same. So that's why I go for Osimhen, but it's about the same. Especially now Galatasaray apparently giving Leroy Sané like 400k a week. So obviously Osimhen said no to Saudi. He said no to the Saudi wages. He wants to play in Europe. Apparently Man United, Juventus and Galatasaray have shown interest in Osimhen. Galatasaray have now given Leroy Sané 400 grand a week. Galatasaray, they've given Leroy Sané 400 grand a week. I'm assuming that was Osimhen's wages. So I don't think they can get Osimhen. So it puts Man United in the position to potentially get Osimhen. He may have to lower his wage demands. Napoli may have to lower their demands for him. But look, Man United will be there, Chelsea will be there. You can't rule out, another Italian team. But I think he wants PSG or the Premier League. I think he wants PSG or the Premier League. I think Osimhen is one to watch. I don't think we're out of the Osimhen race. I think Gyokeres, if I was to predict who we're going to sign, I would say Gyokeres. Gyokeres is the guy I think we're going to sign. But if Osimhen is willing to come for, 200 to 250 grand a week, considering Cunha's on about 200 grand a week, I think Cunha's on 180. If Osimhen's willing to come for about 230 grand a week, or we give him 200 grand a week and say if we get back in the Champions League, it'll be 250 grand a week. I don't see why not. I don't see why not. I did a rant, earlier today about Man United's inability to sell, and we're going to get onto that. But Sporting won't accept this 50 plus 10, 50 plus 8 offer for Gyokeres being a 58 million deal. Sporting will not accept that. Sporting want 80 million for Gyokeres. Do you know what? I'm not worried. Sporting won't get 80 million for Gyokeres unless Man United pay it. Because Arsenal are not paying 80 million for Gyokeres. Barcelona are not paying 80 million for Gyokeres. Juventus are not paying 80 million for Gyokeres. The only club stupid enough to spend 80 million on Gyokeres is Man United. And if Man United are seeing that nobody else is willing to spend 80 million on Gyokeres, I don't think we'll be spending 80 million on Gyokeres. I think Sporting will have to lower the fee to what Gyokeres agreed to. Why would Arteta want both Sesco and Gyokeres? Why? He wants, for me, if I'm Arteta, you get Gyokeres and Rodrigo or Sesco and Rodrigo. You get a winger. I don't believe he wants two. Yes, we're going to talk about Garnacho. So I want to talk about Garnacho's price and the reason I want 60 million for him. So yeah, we've got this here. Manchester United are demanding 50 million from all clubs who are interested in Garnacho, says Shardunka. Another source said that United have set a price of 70 million on Garnacho. So what this tells me is the media knows nothing and nobody knows what Garnacho's price is, but if we're going to put a guess in, it's probably 60 million. I think they could go to 15 million with add-ons to a club abroad. I think they'd want 60 million from another Premier League club. Now I see some people saying like they'd sell Garnacho for 40 million. Ornstein tweet. What's Ornstein tweeted? Oh, no. Is Ornstein tweeted? I don't know. Are you trolling? Talking though. Academy Scoop has confirmed the news, by the way, on the young centre back. Is it bait? I've been baited, haven't I? I've been baited. I was going to say, I have notifications come through, but the thing is, I get notifications come through on my screen when Ornstein tweets, so I was like, wait, I didn't get a notification. So, yeah. But I did see this exclusive. Manchester United have agreed a deal to sign 16-year-old Harley Emerson-James from Southampton. Several other Premier League clubs made approaches to sign the talented centre-back, but he was convinced by United's proposal. So, Academy Scoop said this way earlier today, actually. 1:34. That the deal is agreed. I just missed that earlier. So we've got more confirmation on this new signing from Southampton. But I've definitely fallen for some bait there. Haven't I? I want to talk about Garnacho. That's what I wanted to talk about. I want 60 million for Garnacho. And people saying, oh, we won't get that. We will. If our name was Manchester City, if our name was Chelsea, we'd get 60 million for Alejandro Garnacho. But we underrate the talent we have, and obviously because of his fallout with Amarin, it might be less. But look, let me show you this. This is my tweet. Oh, I'm zooming in. Bear with me. Okay. So, I don't know if you can see this. I'll do this here. So this was me having a bit of a rant earlier. Still to this day, Man United selling Dean Henderson for 14.8 million, while City got 90 million for James Trafford, who'd only played in League One at that time, is the clearest example of how our players are valued differently in the market. They play for Man United, they're 10 million less. That's how I see it. Clubs know we had amateurs running us. That's the difference. People tried to say Trafford was better, but let's see. We all know the last 2 years have played out. He's not better than Dean Henderson. Forest wouldn't even pay 15 million for Henderson and went for Matt Turner. Can you believe that? Luckily, they got sales now, but they'd have been. I tell you what, if they were stuck with Matt Turner this season, they'd be regretting that. For clarity, I do rate Trafford. He's got a lot of potential, but let's be real. We should have got 25 million for Dean Henderson. If James Trafford's going for 19 million pounds, if we were competent, we would have got 25 million for Dean Henderson. I'm saying that now. We would have got 25 million. Sorry, I was just reading something. Anyway, continuing on. We got 25 million for McTominay, 7 million for Fred, 15 million for Alanga, 5 million for Alvaro, that's going for 42 million to Madrid in a minute. Arsenal got 30 million for Nketiah. Arsenal got, and again, by the way, people are saying Nketiah is young. Nketiah is 26. Got 3 goals in 29 matches. Arsenal got 30 million for a 26-year-old Nketiah. We got 25 million for a 27-year-old McTominay. McTominay is a year older than Nketiah. And look at the seasons they've had. 25 million for McTominay, 30 million for Nketiah. Alanga went for 15 million. Just saying, if Nketiah at 26 is going for 30 million, that we're well within our rights to think we should get 60 million. That's all I'm saying. You know, people saying, oh, Nketiah was good. Nketiah is not better than McTominay. Nketiah, there's a reason Arsenal sold Nketiah. They got 30 million for him. And they got 25 million for McTominay. And yes, McTominay had 1 year left on this deal. And yes, you know, he's English. They always go for more. But he had 5 Premier League goals, and 3 of them came versus Sheffield United last year, and they got 30 mil for him. McTominay got more goals than a striker Nketiah last season, is a year older and went for less. Can you not, that's the prime example of Man United in the market. So that's why I want 60 million for Garnacho. You know, we can't compare ourselves with most clubs because it makes our execs look like a joke. You know, I am ranting. I've given the news. I'm ranting. I was meant to give an update on Mbeumo. I was actually. Brentford wants 60 million for Mbeumo. Talks are ongoing with the 2 clubs. United are keen to complete the deal soon. Shed Charlotte Dunker. Manchester United are working to try and find an agreement with Brentford on what the price will be, and then they'll put the second bid in for Mbeumo, has also been said. United plan to get the Mbeumo deal done as soon as possible. They believe the second bid will be accepted. They're working with Brentford to try and find a fee that they will accept for the second bid. Brentford wants 62.5 million, and Mbeumo wants United. There's no news as of now of a Spurs hijack. That is the Mbeumo news that I was meant to get into earlier in today's show. But I am having a bit of a rant. I am. So basically, they want us to pay what we did for Cunha for Mbeumo. That's basically what they want us to do. But no, it just annoys me. 30 million for Nketiah. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Anyway, listen, people, I'm going to wrap up today's show. Big up everyone that tuned into today's live stream. I will be back with a video tonight, unless there's no news, then I won't be. But if there's some relevant news, I'll be back tonight. Thank you for watching. Bye.